This is London with MarketHedge. Let's go over Bitcoin. I found a few things in the charts. I want to make sure that you're aware of them. It is the weekend, so we may have some slow action, but it may pick up. Hit the like button if you're trading Bitcoin. Now, in terms of our trades, $147,000 in the profit on the one trade that you guys know from this top-level breakout. Good job. Now, in terms of the charts, I want you to take a look at a few different things. First of all, on the weekly, if you'll go to not only the RSI on the weekly, you'll see that we are just now at the overbought. Typically, that's one of two things, right? It's going to be a continuation or a reversal, meaning buyers are going to continue to buy and push up and over into further overbought territory, meaning bulls are in command. Or what happens, guys? Instead of the continuation, we get the reversal. Here, we get that reversal, and instead of the specific, let's just say the specific signal of being overbought on the weekly, being a continuation, and the bulls stepping in, we would reverse, right? And bears would take control. So you see throughout the history of Bitcoin that both has happened. This specific, right, this continuation, right? Overbought was a continuation. This here, you see the clear reversal. So that clear reversal down through here. Very important as we look at this specific moment also to notice the Bollinger Band. Take a look at the Bollinger Band. You guys know we use that relatively frequently and we modify it, but looking at that top standard deviation, we are at the specific top. It's going to be measured as the second standard deviation from this midline 20 moving average, right, on the weekly. So it's very important that on that weekly time frame we're overbought and we are at that top line threshold. Now, there is a possibility, of course, as you look at this just technically speaking, looking at that top standard deviation, it can act as a magnet for price. Boom. This was the move from, we caught this from 70,000 up to 110,000 or so. And yes, it acted like a magnet for price. You can see it here as well, acting like a magnet and seeing that confluence with the overbought on the RSI, the relative strength index. Once again, overbought, that continuation where buyers continue to buy, and it just acting like a magnet, that specific standard deviation. So as we look at this weekend, let's continue to remind ourselves of kind of the overall macro technicals and what I'm doing with my trades, which you have seen some of the trades here, but not all the trades. What I'm going to say is that me personally is I'm looking at an overall macro consideration for Bitcoin. While everyone is being bullish, just saying it's going to the moon, I want to have some sort of fallback technically that I can look and back test and say, well, it's probably solid for me to hold my specific long position as long as, and I would say let's take a look at the MACD, right? The MACD, moving average convergence divergence, and I'm on MarketHedge.pro. You guys can add MACD under the FX. If you go to under the trading tab, you'll get this advanced chart and you can add your MACD in. Now looking at, and it's real easy, guys, click on the FX right here, click MACD, and bam, just go ahead and add that to your chart. The issue is, as long as we're in positive territory, there's a chance for that continuation, right? In spite of the overall, let's say the arguments on the higher time frames, etc. So I'm going to be looking at that specific MACD on the daily. Also, I've taken a look at it on the weekly. I like it right now on the weekly as well. The one thing to be careful of in terms of psychologically as you're preparing yourself for where Bitcoin is and where it may go is the fact that this specific chart pattern here is somewhat of a bear in and of itself. It can be, guys, it can wrestle a good bull to the ground. This specific broadening pattern, we haven't focused on it much because this bull flag that we identified was so clean. You guys know this was such a clean bull flag, which is why I went heavy and just in terms of just aggressively on it. But that move to the upside, downward sloping channel, looks just like a flag. You guys got it. We have the higher target. You guys know that 130, 135. Want to shout out to all the VIP. Want to shout out to BTCC, our trading partner who makes everything with MarketHedge Pro possible. Thank you guys. We appreciate you so much. In terms of that move to the upside, 135, that would be the repeat amplitude of not only the bull flag, but if we really wanted to stack this and get more aggressive, we would say, well, this is an entirety of a pattern here, this broadening top formation, and it could have a higher target in terms of, and this is where things get interesting, in terms of the 148. 148,000. Let's go ahead and just mark 148,000. I want you to understand the subtle difference here with looking at the pattern that we've been assessing, which is, and this is the bull flag, right, which is an included pattern, included within that broadening wedge. But as we look at stacking this, and you'll find a bit of differentiation on this, but the safe bet is to stack this right at the base of this channel. Okay, so right at the base of that lower channel, that's the, the saying goes, flags fly at half mast. Okay, they fly at half mast. So in terms of that, that means that that repeat nature stacks at that lower specific parallel base, that support, bam, to the upside. So we have that 135, let's call that, but that higher, specific higher, let's see here. Let me mark that. That specific higher, voice going a little bit there, excuse me. As we look at that higher potential, it would be to say, no, this actual bull flag is within a larger specific pattern, the broadening wedge with that specific level of support, level of resistance, right? And the amplitude of this specific pattern, right, is on the map with New York big-time traders. And yeah, that's looking up towards 150K. So as you look at where you're currently at on your trades, I invite you to make sure you regard the Bollinger Band on the weekly. Make sure you regard the specific MACD. Make sure that you govern your own risk. I have explained many times, I am an extraordinarily risky person. I will literally, guys, fly off of the top of a mountain on my skis and love it every time I do it, okay? I'm a thrill seeker. I love risk. I love to trade heavy. So as you look at your specific trades, make your own decisions. Always, guys, consult. I know you got your financial experts, etc., but just do regard this with some, also I'm going to say just degree of caution. And why? I'll just wrap this up so you guys can have something for the weekend. But looking at this pattern, okay, looking at a broadening wedge pattern, it is a potential, just hear me out, it is a potential very difficult top line resistance play. Meaning what? Meaning once bulls get up and out and over this specific over the specific top line resistance like we have here, that this can be the dead zone. And I'm going to just mark this like this. This can be an absolute dead zone in terms of bulls just can't get off of it. Okay, and I mean a spill back into it and an absolute pour down and a frustration like you haven't seen in a while from the bulls. So that's typically what this kind of a pattern, that's the type of caution that it gives to the market. What is, and I don't want to be on the fence about this, but as you trade and you know your patterns, what is the, let's say the conflict here? If we're going to resolve this issue one way or the other, the conflict is everyone's saying, if you're looking at a big time New York desk, they're saying, yeah, but you haven't given us this nice of a bull flag in the history of Bitcoin. So, and you can look back, you have not given that clean of a bull flag in the history of Bitcoin, particularly that played up and out. So there's something, at least something there to balance if you want to go bull, all the way bull. If you're looking at 149, what I'll say is I always tell every trader I'm with or otherwise, any group that I'm with, trader that I've hired or just work with, etc., is that Bitcoin's going to have to become a monster here. Okay, it's literally going to have to become a monster and push up and out and over. I've got this on the right-hand side in terms of some of the parallel channels that you'll see. It would be really nice to get at least towards the top line here. Let's get towards this top line, red line. Otherwise, we're just still kind of floating in the middle of this regression. So that's that parallel channel that I invite you to look at on the daily on MarketHedge.pro. Remember, that was the one that we found the bull flag. Very easy for you guys just to look at and have it automatically drawn for you, that downward sloping channel. So get with your technicals, spend more time studying your technicals, I'll just say, than you do trying to trade new patterns you may not understand. This will come into focus the more that you spend time really educating yourself above the residual of the market. And how do we do that? With New York Institute of Finance. New York Institute of Finance. You can call them and tell them that I told you to call them, and you can go to their school in person, or you can attend some online classes. It's the standard of the industry. It's where Wall Street goes to school. Literal Wall Street traders, not the stuff you're seeing online. Wall Street traders go to school at the New York Institute of Finance, NYIF. So just some stuff to look at for the weekend. Remember the specifics in terms of that weekly, okay? Also, you're in oversold turf right now on the daily. You guys know. Let me just say, I will. Not go into kind of additionals here. You're going to be, let me just say, in terms of, it might be a good threshold for you to look at without getting overly complicated. But the daily, you see, we skipped up over on that second standard deviation on the Bollinger Band. So really, that's what we'd like to see happen on what? On the weekly. Yeah, so the weekly right now has acted as resistance. You can see the daily, as long as the bulls can continue to push on this daily, it might be a really nice line, okay, of distinction for us to measure and say, okay, bulls, you've got a marker here, that second standard deviation on the top line. Before this specific overbought nature of the RSI starts to curve down, let's have the bulls work with this threshold marker, that second standard deviation, and yeah, I'm looking forward to positive price action within reason. You can see that second standard deviation again, and you've always got two options when you're looking at a technical signal: reversal or a continuation. So you guys have a great weekend. Wanted to spend a little bit of time with technicals. If you found this interesting or important, just know that we're putting together MarketHedge. It's coming in. We've got the chat rooms, and VIP are going to be clicking next week. I just want to say next week for the VIP rooms. We're going to have chat in the back. We're going to have a lot of accommodations, and I'm really excited to bring everything to you guys. It's been a lot of hard work. And this is London with MarketHedge. You guys have a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.